need to listen to your body. If you don't listen to your body, then it's going to hit you with a brick. It means that you're going to have some little major issues going on. And if you still don't listen to your body, then it's going to run you over with a truck.
Just get really good at the practice of listening to yourself. And it takes time. It's a muscle to build.
Welcome to Knowledge Seeker Podcast. I'm your host, Farhan Mirza. So my today's guest, what we call corporate burnout machine, running on zero sleep until her body slams the brake. She quit her job, sold everything, spent 6 years chasing healing across the world, from Ayurvedic clinic in India to retreat in Peru. Now, with masters in counseling on the way, Jenni Morris is the founder of Zenergy Coaching and Retreat and Chattanooga's Quiet Revolution in Nervous System Freedom. Today, she's gonna hand you the map that once she drew in dark. Jenni, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Farhan.
How are you?
Doing good today. Excited to be talking with you.
Good. So tell us about 13 years ago, you left the corporate world. What was the thing that basically said enough is enough and you need to quit?
Yeah, that was a very interesting part in time in life because I was so focused on my career, and at that time I had no idea about anything health wise. I was just kind of, going to the gym, trying to do the right thing, but eating really unhealthy and kind of wearing a million hats at the same time. And I ended up getting quite sick repetitively and had a few things happen where I ended up getting 3 rounds of antibiotics for something that I had. And the doctor gave me 1, it didn't work. 2nd, it didn't work. 3rd, it didn't work. And I just knew that was not right. I had started to hear little whispers of, and taking antibiotics consistently might not be the best thing for you, but I didn't know anything about what would work for me. So that left a question in my head of why is this happening, number one, and what's a better way to actually heal? Because my body, being so young, I was in my early 20s, but already felt like I was so old. I had aches and pains and was getting sick all the time. So I knew that there had to be a different way. And that's ended up why I quit my job and realized I was quite burnt out, so young, which I honestly hear from a lot of young people, right? Yeah. It's not something that takes decades to do. It can happen quite fast in this fast-paced world. But that question kept me on my journey that led me through the past 13 years into really learning so many varieties and aspects of what it means to have optimum health in your life.
So did they find out what was your problem what was going on with you, or did they diagnose anything, or you just basically say, hey, I'm just going to take care of my own body? That's
a great question. And I feel like I started looking at certain angles, and really when we look at what is the root issue, we have to look at the whole person, right? Holistic. So there were ways that I wasn't feeding myself well, ways that I wasn't managing my own energy. And the biggest part was I wasn't managing my stress. I had a lot of things happen to have kind of traumatic experiences when I was younger that I never learned how to work through stress and anxiety. And I would just keep it inside. I had panic attacks in college and found a way to work through that, but there was still a lot of residue left in my nervous system, and I knew nothing about what to do. I didn't even know about deep breathing at the time.
Yeah.
So that is really what led me into looking at all of the different parts of myself and getting a good foundation of health from there.
So you quit the corporate world, and then you decided to travel, and you spent 6 years across the world, from India to Peru to Bali to. So which country basically the hardest on you, and also basically broke you open? Hey.
Wow, what a good question. And yeah, there's been several places that have that I've learned so much from. But when you say it like that, that was hard on me and broke me open was definitely India.
India, okay. And the reason is?
Yeah, India, I remember my first day there. And I went into Delhi and saw how much poverty is there. And there's no such thing as that much poverty anywhere in the United States. And just seeing person after person after person and babies, not even being able to be fed. And I remember crying my eyes out that night in my hotel room and just feeling a lot of pain. So India is a hard country in that when I went, this was a while ago, there wasn't much infrastructure for travelers in the places that I went to. So it's very raw. And there were many places where people didn't speak a lick of English, and I just had to kind of get by with sign language and whatnot. However, the deep historical and ancient practices of wellness is so rich there.
Yeah.
And not everyone uses it, but those pockets where they still hold those traditions strongly has some of the greatest wisdom I've found across the entire earth. And what I really enjoy about India's perspective on health, and Ayurveda particularly will speak on, is that it looks at the whole person and what your, I guess, baseline is. And everybody's baseline is different from the time that we're born. So we can't look at each individual person and say, oh, if you have headaches, we need to give you the same pill, right? We need to figure out what in their wellness and in their well-being is shifted or off that's causing that. So we can have the same symptoms, but completely different places that it's coming from and completely different ways to address it. And so that India really opened my eyes to how different our view here in the States is in the allopathic view of medicine. And how we're kind of missing a lot of pieces that ancient cultures, Chinese medicine has a very similar holistic view, really understood. And that inspired me to bring that wisdom back here to help my family, my friends, myself originally, and eventually it led to my practice that I have now.
Yeah. No, I mean, India, of course, that's the place that, broke a lot of people open, and because it's not easy to be in this kind of environment. I mean, in the United States, we are so blessed that we are living in a country that so much resources are available. Not like in India or in any other, like even Pakistan, there's certain areas that really, really, like you said, it's very, poverty driven. So what ritual or practice that you learned from that India trip that you still use today?
Yes. So my I'd say second trip there, I went and studied Ayurveda in Kerala. It's in the south.
Kerala.
And spent a month doing intensive training on their different healing modalities. And what I learned the most from that part was even in food, right? Because sometimes people ask, what's the best way to eat? Well, there isn't one best way to eat because our bodies are all different. We process things differently. And so it's really about listening. And that is the number one thing I will suggest to anybody who's on their health journey is get really good at the practice of listening to yourself. And it takes time. It's a muscle to build because at first we might not know what our body's telling us, but over time and refinement, you start to really hear how your digestive system is responding, your energy levels, your mood based on what you're eating, your activities that you're doing. So that's definitely the
I think that's a main key. You just said that you need to listen to your body. I usually say, your body will whisper you one time,
right?
Meaning like, there's little things going on with you. If you don't listen to your body, then it's going to hit you with a brick. It means that you're going to have some little major issues going on. And if you still don't listen to your body, then it's going to run you over with a truck.
Yes. So
meaning,
true.
meaning that you're going to have some major issues going on with you. No, you have to. And your body basically tells you what's going on with you. And I think most people just ignore that and they just keep going on. So then you founded Zenergy I believe in 2020?
Yeah, it's Zenergy. Zenergy Coaching.
Zenergy, sorry.
Yes,
I'm sorry. So, 2020, when the world was shutting down, what did you make? What kind of a leap of faith that you have that you basically started a wellness company?
Right. Great question on the timing. Well, 2020 was also the year that I had my daughter. So there was a lot of changes and shifts happening in my life. But when I'd come back from India for the third time, doing yoga training too, and really felt so inspired to bring the wisdom of Ayurveda back to the States. My mom had some health issues, and my dad too, and just seeing how I could help and serve them, I was seeing how it was so brand new to them. They were quite resistant to it, right? Because they grew up with the allopathic system of medicine. But as I introduced more things to them and it worked, they changed their mind, right? So I knew that I wanted to bring it to the States. And when I got pregnant with my daughter, it just became really apparent. It kind of was a shift in my life in many ways of going from the young girl to the woman, right? And so therefore, when I was pregnant with her, it was really apparent that I wanted to root myself into how I can serve others in deeper ways. Because when I was traveling, I did a lot of learning. I was absorbing. I felt kind of like a sponge. I was blessed with many wonderful teachers along the way, but I felt so ready with all the wisdom that I had learned to start to wring out the sponge. So therefore, I went to school, went to IIN, which is a health coaching school that focuses on holistic health.
In the United States or back
in the United States. Okay. And did my education to start coaching. That's when I started my business in the midst of the pandemic, when it was a very isolating time for people. And I'll share one more thing that being a new mom, I felt extra isolated. Because mother, with an infant, they're on interesting sleep schedules, you're exhausted. And I found that I was really desiring connection with others. So I started a women's circle and ended up growing that. It was powerful, had a lot of other moms a part of that, and realized that so many of them were struggling with their health, with their both mental, physical, all of the above. And it just kind of made me jumpstart that process into becoming a health coach.
So 2020, so now almost 6 years now that you're doing this. So what kind of, you've been to India, you've been to all these places, and Ayurvedic and, homeopathic. And so what kind of a misconception you see in the United States about Ayurvedic medicine or holistic medicine that you really need to debunk that?
Great question. I would say that a lot of people might not take it seriously or think that it's woo-woo, or something like that it's just energetic, but it is incredibly scientific based. And I would say that it's working with the systems of your body in such a way to understand oneself instead of just repair. So instead of simply doing what I call acute medicine, right? When there's a problem, then we find a solution. It's also based on preventative medicine, right? What can I do to bring my body back into balance? Because in reality, our bodies are created and structured to heal itself. However, things can get in the way. And those blockages and things that prevent us from maintaining health, all we need to do is figure out how to remove those so we can come back to our natural state that is health, right? So I'd say that the biggest thing is really that I encourage people to go and speak to Ayurvedic practitioners and see how it is a very powerful and useful and system of medicine that creates real change and lasting change, right? Not a Band-Aid.
Yeah, lasting. And also, I mean, everything is available in nature. I mean, that's, before all these pharmaceutical companies or medicines and allopathic way of medicine, before that, there was something, available for human beings to take care of them. And also your body, like you said, heal itself also if you basically listen to your body. And I mean, as you know, the medical system in America, it's kind of jacked up.
Nicely said.
Well, I mean, on podcasts, I just, can use those words. So, I mean, and doctors also, because the way they trained, they don't know there is another way to treat patients. So when in your practice, what kind of tools you would like to provide those people who are listening to this and they're really interested in this kind of Ayurvedic or natural medicine, that they can start practicing that in their daily lives?
Yeah. So what I'd say is oftentimes our, let's say, allopathic medicine system has one way of looking at an issue and wellness. And even when we think about psychiatric help or various mental health therapy is often just looking at the mind and talk therapy.
Yeah.
However, when we don't include the body, when we don't include the nervous system, when we don't include how are our sleep habits, how's our diet, then we're trying to isolate something that's not isolated. Right? Everything influences each other. And for example, if we try to just go to the gym and say, I'm going to get healthy, but yet we're eating terribly, we're sleeping 4 hours a night, we're yelling at our kids, we're not going to be healthy, right? You might grow muscle, but your inner health, you might be getting sick or, later down the road cause disease. So I would say it's so important when we're healing to do it from a holistic perspective, which is why I really think it's so important to not only work on, all right, how is our mindset? How are we approaching our life? How are we organizing our time? How are we communicating, right? Those are more of the head space. But then how are we treating the body? How are we nourishing ourselves, moving, and regulating our nervous system? And that last one is one that most people, I feel like, don't include or think about. But for what I found is that it's the most vital one.
Yeah.
Because all the other things typically won't stick long term unless your nervous system is regulated. So there's a lot of practices to basically help your nervous system regulate and expand its range of capacity that I work with clients on. And that's the foundational piece. And then all the other pieces of health can be added on top with more ease. Yeah,
I think it's all connected to each other kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And also talking about nervous system, you also use a word in nervous system freedom. Can you elaborate? What is that? What do you mean by that?
So freedom with nervous system is oftentimes we are programmed at a very young age, right? On how we react to things. And it's not just how our mouths react, how we speak when we're triggered or something, but our physical body reacts with chemicals and a whole cascade of hormones that happens in various situations. And when we're not aware of that, we're simply running on autopilot. Yeah. And I feel like there's such a beauty when we take the reins into our own hands and can be able to witness our own patterns and then be able to change and alter them so that it's productive for us instead of working against us.
Yeah, interesting. So you work with, mostly women, I believe, and also moms.
Yes.
So what number one red flag you see in them that they are basically on the edge of burnout? Because you've been there.
Right.
And you will basically pinpoint that, hey, this woman or this mom, corporate mom, working, and I see this red flag. She's basically the edge of burning out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I almost want to say two.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, please. Into 1, 2, 3.
Right. Yes. So the first is feeling always on when it's hard to go to sleep because the list of to-dos continues running through the head or replaying interactions through the day, and then waking up and feeling that on and anxiety from
meaning the brain is not shutting down or
brain's
something.
not allowing rest at all.
Okay.
And there's a time for us to be focused and driven. And there's also a very important need for us to find relaxation and ease, right? There's the effort and then there's the effortless. So when there's that constant state of feeling like there needs to be effort, which happens a lot in corporate moms because they're working when they get home, they're working with kids, and helping to guide them and navigate them and clean house and keep their relationship up. So there's a lot of on. And so when that system isn't able to be turned down, then typically that's what eventually leads to physical symptoms starting to happen. And the other one, which is maybe a little bit more obvious, is having snappy reactions at kids. And I hear that so commonly, and I think it's also one that really touches, a mom's heart, because it's not something that anybody wants to do, right? It's. I don't think
sometimes it's not only kids; it's also their spouses and other people too.
Yes, exactly. And they might not have done that earlier in life, and all of a sudden it's happening. Why is this happening, right? And it really comes down to their nervous system feeling at full capacity and not being able to hold anymore. So it's in that easily triggered state. So those two together are pretty big indicators.
So what would you basically recommend any practice for corporate mom who's basically burning out right now? They can use that practice and starting today.
Good question. Well, at the very beginning, we were talking about one of the most important pieces is listening to your body.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like when we're on all the time, we forget that we have something below our head. It may be picking this up and putting it down, but we don't pay attention to it. And in order to start regulating your nervous system, we have to become aware of what's happening and when. And so the best starting tool is to begin taking time throughout the day, whether it's just 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at night. Start with 1 minute if we really need to start small. And do a body scan of sensations. So there's various, you can look online for sensation wheels, not just emotions, but sensations. And go through your body, your arms, your fingers, your heart, throat, belly, all over, and see if you can name a few sensations that are going on in the body. And it sounds really simple, but it can be quite a new experience to pay attention that closely. And the reason why it helps is over practice of doing that, before someone gets triggered, they will feel a sensation. Mm-hmm. Before our mind even knows what's happening, our body tells us.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And the way to be able to pause and regulate before we, let's say, blow up on kids or partner, or go down a spiral in our mind of something. If we listen to our body and we're aware, ooh, I just had a tension or a twist in my belly, I know that I can use some of my regulation tools, various different things, breathing, moving, and be able to get myself in a place of more steady and ease before it going too far, right? And kind of getting out of the place where I can reel it back in. So that is the number one best and most important first tool.
Yeah. No, you're right. And also, we basically sometimes react very quickly, like
Right.
on certain things. And like you talk about triggers, I think sometimes, there's certain things that triggers us and then we just react right away rather than basically thinking, hey, do I need to, there's a very famous line. I don't know if you know, Viktor Frankl. He was the Holocaust prisoner and he was become a psychiatrist. He has a famous line. He said, between stimulus and response, there's a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. And in that response, it's lies our freedom and growth. So before we, react to something, we probably have a little space to just ponder, okay, do I need to react like that or something? Right. So, yeah. So also, you're not only a wellness coach, you also do a retreat too. Mm-hmm. So tell us about your retreats and how this thing works.
Yes. So I absolutely love retreat spaces and group spaces because I feel like there's a collective wisdom that we can source from. One-on-ones have a special place and way that we can work deeply in. And it's a different experience in a group. So one person going through a transformation becomes somebody else's medicine, right? We become each other's medicine, which is really powerful to witness.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. And so I've run retreats that in the past that incorporate mindfulness and yoga and also communication and regulation and just holistic healing in a retreat. So this next year I'm going to be hosting one for all women, and this will be in April, and going to be focused deeply on learning the skills and over the course of 4 days. So not just a 1 hour session, but 4 whole days of really understanding your nervous system and being able to come into that place of regulation. And then all other little pieces of holistic health to support that as well.
So it's only, you said, for all women? And 4 days. So 4 days is like a one place?
One place.
And it's like different, like some kind of a breathing techniques and what basically entail to do in 4 days?
Yes, there's so much. So, when we talk about nervous system regulation, I feel that oftentimes people want to, let's say, they're noticing they're in fight or flight mode and they want to calm down, right? Maybe that's the word that somebody tells them, you need to calm down, right? Which we all don't love hearing.
Well, yeah.
But what they might think of is just doing deep breathing. But there's so many more tools, dozens and dozens of tools, and it depends on what's happening in your nervous system. Sometimes sitting still and breathing is the exact opposite of what you need to do when you're activated. So for fight or flight mode, what happens in your body is this cascade of hormones that comes through is helping your body to be able to move and react. So when you sit still, we're working against what's happening in the body. Now, we don't want to go and actually fight someone, right? So what can we do that is letting this energy that our body is in to move through us so that we can come back into regulation? Because, it's one thing to say, oh, I just want to always be regulated. And when I'm triggered, I'll take a breath and I'll pause and I'll react nicely. Yeah, but that's wishing that we were God, right? So
we're playing God.
Yes. So we're all going to get triggered and really coming to that understanding of what do I need in this moment? So for example, if I'm feeling really triggered in fight mode, taking my hands and squeezing them together or standing up and jumping up and down. We honestly see our kids do this very well and tell them, sometimes tell them not to, but they're quite intelligent on what they need to get the trigger out of their body so that they can come back and our prefrontal cortex can come back online and we can think rationally.
Like a reboot, the computer.
It is. It is. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, and very interesting. So you also probably, teach burnouts too, right?
Yeah.
Like how to basically avoid those things. So when you basically find out or difference between being burnout or being ambitious, some corporate moms, they think that they are basically so ambitious, they just go, 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 go. But exactly, they're basically burning out themselves. Where you basically draw a line, hey, this is not a ambitious, this is a burnout.
Yeah, great question. And I think it's less about what's viewed on the outside and more about how they're experiencing each moment. Because and it's great you asked this, because I feel a lot of people think, okay, I want to be ambitious. I want, my business to succeed. If I try to take away this stress, I'm not going to be successful. And I find the opposite is actually true, that when we approach everything we do with a more regulated system, with presence, and awareness, we're actually increase our capacity to think more clearly, to organize. And so I find that women that are very go, go, go and nonstop and also carry that anxiety in their body might drop the ball sometimes or make mistakes more often because of brain fog and these various symptoms that come along with stress. So when we take that away, it oftentimes leads to feeling like you have a little bit more time, which there's no more time, but there is more experience in that moment and capacity in each moment for them to do what they need to do.
Yeah. And I think, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that women usually in, working place or corporate, settings, they take too much pressure on themselves compared to men. Do you find out in your practice that most women basically taking pressure too much on themselves? No, because I need to do this, because I think sometimes they feel guilty that they're not doing enough or something like that.
Yes, and I think this is a societal thing that's lasted for a while, and that women feel the need to prove themselves more because, it wasn't that long ago that there was a very big difference between men and women in the workplace. And now we're, working more and more towards that equality. However, it still exists where women feel the need to work harder to earn the same thing a man earns.
Yeah.
And even in the household, because women were traditionally the housemakers and the child caretakers, when both parents are working, let's say, the woman still feels responsible for doing the at-home things more. So they typically try to take on a lot more.
Yeah, no. They are. And you are the example too, because before we were talking about the podcast, you were talking about how many hats you are wearing right now. So talking about Jenni, how with wearing all these hats, you still try to be mindful and practice your yoga. And also you use, I believe, Ayurvedic medicine and all that. How basically you do all that and being disciplined like that? What kind of a tools or ritual you use?
Yes. Good question. And I wear a lot of hats. A lot from the outside, people say I'm busy a lot, right? Doing a lot of things. And there's a difference between doing it with grind and doing it from a place of capacity. And it takes being very mindful and intentional. I will say that, to be able to do a lot.
Intentional, that's a key word, yeah.
Yeah. And so every morning I start my day by myself before my daughter wakes up. With my breathing practice, meditation practice, and I also have a mindset practice that I do, and do some morning fascia release, which is kind of some bouncing, and it also helps with listening to my body. So starting out the day with those every single morning is crucial because it's creating the garden bed before I'm planting the seeds to the day. If I don't do that, it's a significant difference. I notice a significant difference. And then throughout the day, it's noticing how I'm going to approach that particular day, right? Some days are a little more busy than others. And sometimes that means scheduling in time to pause, to be silent, to be still, putting in times to move. But what's really important is being honest with myself and listening, right? If I'm doing my schedule a certain way, and I can notice, because I know my body very well, when it feels like there's too much quickness, right? Or this tension that builds and not enough of the ease through whatever my schedule is. And that just means I need to make adjustments.
And I think now you just said the key word intentional. I mean, anything you do intentionally is, it will work for you or on you. But also, I mean, the rituals. First of all, the silent thing you just mentioned, just basically sit quietly and don't say anything. I think most people, first thing most people do is put up, as soon as they wake up, they'll grab the phone and they start looking at it.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing. I'm not the expert, you the expert, but I think this is very dangerous to our mind. Yes. Because the first thing we start looking at social media, whether it's social media or news, or first of all, there's no good news.
No.
Because we don't need to look at the news or anything, because there's nothing good on that.
Yes.
But with all your traveling and all your learning, you learn from Indian teachers as Ayurvedic. And also, I think you did a silent retreat as well somewhere, if I don't mistaken.
Silent retreat.
No, okay. Would you recommend some kind of a silent retreat to people who are like go kind of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, it's so wonderful when people can take that time away to reset. And there's various retreats, and mine's the same. That is a technology detox.
Technology detox.
And those are so important to do even during the work week, right? Being somebody who runs my own business, it's so easy to constantly be on because there's not a clock in, clock out time.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes there's things that need to be done late at night. So being really mindful of having times where that is put down, right? And in the morning time, for example, if we look straight at our phone, that's the first program we're putting into our computer, right? Yeah. If we think of our brain as a computer. And so how your computer is going to function the rest of the day is based on what programs we put in it. So if we're putting in news, if we're looking at Facebook, and some people enjoy it, some people compare and have some negative experiences of looking at that.
Yep.
Then that's what's starting our program for the day, and that's not a good recipe.
Yeah.
Right.
First of all, this comparing thing, comparing is the killer of joy.
Yes, it is.
That's what they call it. So, and most people living in social media world, and they think that the people on Instagram, their life is so beautiful and so hunky-dory, but they don't know what's going on behind the scenes with them, and they just compare that. So right now, do you have any project that you're working on? I know you're working on this retreat that is upcoming in April. Other than that, you're in Chattanooga right now. Anything that's going on in Chattanooga that you are working on?
Yes. So I feel like the ones that I want to share about is I'm running women's circles right now. And these are really powerful spaces for women to come in and be honest and authentic with what they're experiencing in life. And we often don't have a space for that in a group space. And just like if we have a one-on-one therapist or coach, that person is holding space for us. But it's a very different experience when it's a room full of other women and sisterhood.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that space, we work on nervous system regulation, which happens through allowing emotion to be felt instead of rejected. Right, which happens so much in our life. Maybe it's not the right place. We're in the middle of our work, our workspace, and we're feeling really triggered. So we push it down, and that doesn't go away. It stores in the body. The body remembers. And so this is a really powerful space for women to unwind what's bound.
Okay. And so you're doing this in Chattanooga, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, at the end, we'll ask you where all people can find all that kind of information, so we can put on the screen so they can easily find it. So let's talk about. I know you are also doing master in counseling, right? Correct. Yes. So I mean, you're doing a lot of things. So how basically Jenni doing all this thing and not to burn out again? Well, what kind of tools you are using yourself to not to do that again, because you've been there and you don't want to go back to that?
Yeah. I feel like when I decided that I was going to coach others, life decided to hand me so many different things to make sure I was ready. Right? And so I feel like the past 6 years, there's been a lot of things, personal, family, things that have happened in my life that I've been able to test out how effective what I preach, what I share, actually, how effective it is for me. So if I was just somebody who was relaxing on the beach and having a coaching client and telling them who's in their busy life how to find more ease, I don't feel like that would be as effective, or that I wouldn't actually really know what I was talking about. So I love the fact that I am a working single mom who I get to use everything that I share with others for myself to make sure that it is effective, right? And that is there's a whole system that's created. So each client that I have, we come up with a whole system for helping them be regulated, helping them feel back to themselves and in full vitality. I love that word. That word has been one that resonates a lot with me. And it looks different for each person, right? It'll look different for a client than it does for me. But there's definitely certain pieces of the puzzle that are really important. And those are, even like we were just speaking about, of our physical health, our mental health, our nervous system health, relational. So, once we spend time, just a little bit of time on navigating what's the best way for all this to be as balanced.
Yeah.
Then we're able to feel that vitality. And balance isn't something that is stagnant either, by the way. It's not that we find it and that's it.
It's a practice. It's a practice. Yeah, you have to practice and learn, and also understand your own body, healing, and mind. Because mind is everything. It's like a computer processor. That's this a processor of your computer. So breath work, Ayurvedic, natural healing. What basically feels magic to you?
What feels magic to me? Well, when you say the word magic, the first thing that came to me was the experience in group spaces. And what is magical about it is that we are often so in our heads. We're thinking of the next thing to say. We're having this podcast, right? And I don't know what other people do, but sometimes they might try to plan what they're going to say next. Even in women's circles, there's a time.
It's on a script, by the way.
Yes. And in women's circles, we'll go around and share, and I see the women who are like planning out what they're going to say. I want to do a good share. And the beautiful magic that happens is when we make the decision to drop out of the mind and just be with ourselves and see what naturally arises. And when we're in a group space, there is a collective field that is so intelligent that we don't have to think of what needs to be said to heal or to share. It will sporadically arise when we drop our efforts of the mind.
Mm-hmm.
So when I see that happen, and there's a shift that happens in the space, whether this is a retreat or a women's circle, there's a shift when people finally drop out of their mind and just come into the present moment. So that's what it is. When we're thinking, we're trying to plan for the future or
be present. Yeah.
So when we're just present, exactly what's needed comes out. And I've learned as a facilitator that planning too much for me is not good for the collective, and trusting more into letting that magic arise naturally. Even if I had something planned, it usually goes different than what I planned.
No, and that's spur of the moment, or I think you said, So with all your travelings, around the world, that taught you one lesson that you will never find in any book. Is that a difficult question?
Yeah, but something came to mind. So
yes.
I feel like the biggest thing that I learned is that there is so much possibility in this life.
Yes.
And if we stay in one society or one frame of mind, my mom always called it blinders, right? We think this is life. This is the only way life can be. And the reality is there are so many nuanced ways to experience, enjoy life, that oftentimes what creates stress is the resistance to reality.
Beautiful, interesting.
And if we come into this place, instead of seeing dead ends, but we see true possibility that is around us everywhere, we naturally drop this anxiousness. And that's what we see in countries that like Costa Rica, where people are known to be a little happier. That's the common thread that I see, is really accepting life and the possibility just as it is.
No, beautiful. So speaking about that, what kind of things that you wish the people in the United States will adopt that you see in other countries that make them happier?
Yeah. Well, going to a lot of different countries, many places have said Americans just work so hard, right? There's so much focus on work, which is a beautiful thing, to put effort into something that's meaningful.
Yeah.
However, when we forget that life is really about the connections and the intention behind the work, then it loses its joy, right? So in whatever we do, whatever path, it doesn't have to be doing my heart's desire of coaching. It could be in anything that we decide to do, whether it's work or volunteer or just day-to-day life. When we're intentional about why we're there and the connection between each other, then that's what makes life. Like technology, right? Takes away. It gives us so much, but if we lean on it too much and forget about this face to face, then we lose a lot of joy in life.
I think we are basically missing, especially in the United States, the human connection you're talking about. In other countries, like India or Pakistan or any other countries, they still have this like a human connection, like one-to-one kind of thing, rather than, because in the United States, of course, with technology-wise, we are on the top of everything. So, and in those countries, sometimes they don't have those resources that we have available here.
Right.
And then we use it then we are missing, basically, I usually say social media making us unsocial in real life. Mm-hmm. And in other countries, they have, resources, but not as much resources. So they are more connected to each other.
Right.
And also the family connection over there. I think they're still there. I think, when I go back to Pakistan, and we still actually eat dinner as a family, whole family, not everybody's eating separately kind of thing, because there's a dinner time. And then, of course, you've been to India and there's a tea time that everybody get together and have tea. I think that's one thing I think we are missing in the United States.
Yes.
And I think we need to start doing a tea time here.
Yes, I so agree.
Yeah, well, at 5 o'clock tea time, everything shuts down.
Yes.
And then let's get together and have a tea. So you also do yoga practice, correct? So let me ask you this question. If you need to do a yoga anywhere in the world, where that would be?
Do yoga anywhere in the world. I love India. Going back to India, Rishikesh is where I did my first initial yoga training. And that's kind of known as the yoga capital of the world. So there's so much wisdom there, and energetically it feels different there. There's just a lot of peace walking down the street, minus the crazy monkeys that live there.
Yeah, monkeys, and I guess there's a lot of elephants there too.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, is it a stereotype or just because I've never been to India, so I don't know. I mean, even though they are neighbors countries, I mean, and also, not to be politics, they think that we hate each other, and we don't. Actually, we don't hate each other. We love each other. It's just the politics. So just want to get this out.
Yeah.
So India, okay. So from, let's say, in the future, 20 years from now, if somebody listening to this podcast in the future and you want to give this message to a mom who is basically a corporate burnout, what they need to listen to their body first, and also what kind they need to do not to be in this situation. I think that's very a long question I ask.
Right. Yeah. So, understanding their body. And I think that a big piece of it is putting a lot of unrealistic expectations and pressure on ourselves.
Yeah.
And a common thing, which, might not feel good to hear, but so most of us have this wound somewhere inside, from childhood or from adulthood, is not feeling like enough.
Not feeling like enough.
Not feeling good enough. And so there's this drive to need to do more. And I just offer grace for ourselves. Because the thing is, if we're feeling stress and anxiety all the time, and we're mad at ourselves for it, we're piling more stress and anxiety on top of it. So the first thing that needs to happen is acceptance that as humans, we're all messy.
Yeah.
And, social media, like you mentioned, kind of makes everyone look so idealized. But after this, I am a deep heart talker. No matter who I meet, we usually get in a deep conversation within 2 minutes. So talking to many people over the course of my life, there's not one person that I've met that isn't going through something hard right now.
Exactly. You're absolutely right. And also, you talk about piling up. I think there is a very famous quote from, I think, Meredith Wilson. He said, we pile up so many tomorrows. At the end, we find out there is nothing left but a bunch of empty yesterdays. Yeah. So I think we need to stop piling tomorrows and live in the present kind of thing.
Yes to that.
So talk about your legacy. What kind of a legacy you want to leave?
Wow. Thank you for mentioning that word. That's been a newer word for me to think of recently. And what is really important to me, and you started to touch on it in different countries in India and Pakistan, on the connection of community and
yes,
family.
The family connection,
is something that I feel like we don't talk about enough, but we need more than anything in this country.
Yes.
We live in these separate households. I lived in Colorado before this, and we lived in these townhomes that faced each other with a green space. We were the only ones ever outside. And that happens a lot is people are in their own individualized worlds. And we are wired for connection. If a baby isn't
That's a human nature. Yeah, right.
Isn't held or touched, they fail to thrive, which, they can die by not being held. And so I feel like in our society, there's so much hyper independence that's pedestaled, and we have moved away from the importance of leaning on each other.
Yeah.
And so I'd say that, and it's a journey I had to go through. I was a hyper independent person. I want to do everything myself, and it's been a journey to realize and ask for support and help, and not have that be a weakness, but a strength.
Beautiful. No, I think, like I said earlier, I think we need to work on that. We need to start this tea time in America. And 5 o'clock, hey, let's have a tea time and have a family connection and all that kind of a thing. So your daughter, how old your daughter is, right?
She's 5.
She's 5.
Mm-hmm.
So 20 years from now, if she's listening to this conversation, what kind of a message you want to give her?
Wow. Yeah, and that's a sweet thought. 'Cause she is my world. And really, even hoping for her to see in 20 years a society that is more connected and supportive of each other. And hopefully by this point, she has learned from me being her mom on the tools on how to really approach life and anything that it gives her with this vitality. And so I know kids don't always like to listen to their parents, but hopefully she'll listen to me on a few things.
I mean, she is, of course, growing up in this, technology and the social media and the AI and all that. So I'm pretty sure then, 20 years from now, if she listened to this conversation, she's going to say, oh, mom told me to do this kind of a thing. Yeah. So the moms who are listening to this right now, what kind of a message you want to give to them for their, their personal life, their corporate life, and, how do they maintain balance between work and life kind of thing?
Yeah. I would say that there is nothing more important than us investing in ourselves to be present with our kids, with our life, because too often if we're just putting our head down and in survival mode, life will pass you by.
Oh yeah.
And so I have a friend who did like death doula work, and with people on their deathbed, nobody regretted not doing this thing with business or that thing. They regretted not being present with the people that they loved. Yeah. Every person has the same exact thing on their deathbed. So if we can learn from that before that point,
yes,
and really focus on, yes, I can be present with my job and do it with heart, but also be present with myself and my life and enjoy who I am and how my body moves at this age, and my children and their loudness in this house, and start focusing on the gratitudes.
Gratitude, yeah, that's a key word, because I think in this world we are living in, so fast paced, that we forget about the gratitude, right. And also we more focus on things that we don't have, rather than focus on things we have. And that's why we, the gratitude goes. So before we wrap this up, one more question for you. From 10 years from now, where Jenni see herself?
Thank you for that. Well, I see myself sharing this message with more of the world. And I really do enjoy speaking and public speaking. So I hope to be helping the larger community, Chattanooga, but even the world or nation at large, at number one, really understanding what wellness is so that more people can thrive and enjoy their lives.
Yeah.
Right. And number two, to build stronger communities here so that we can all thrive together. That's a big part of my heart, is in helping build community everywhere that I go. And it's like I run a networking group here because we thrive more when we lean on each other. So
I think there's somebody says that if you want to go fast, go by yourself. If you want to go farther, you need to go with someone.
Yes.
And that's where the community, I think. And also, I think you're doing a great work that building this community, especially the women community, because they need support each other. Because the world we are living in is very brutal. And I call in business dog eat dog world. Because, there's a very, most people think that, the business people or these businesses, they don't have a heart or something like that. But there's a very famous quote from my favorite author, actually. His name is Tim Grover. He used to be a fitness coach for Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan. He said, business is not heartless. You use your heart less.
Interesting.
Meaning you don't bring more emotions to that, but it's not that you don't feel, you have to have some kind of empathy or sympathy kind of thing in business. So before, like I said, we wrap this up, there's anything else you like to share with us or with our audience?
I really just want to encourage anybody listening to start with something small. And when we think about what we want to change in our life, so often we'll try to think of all of the things that are wrong or that we want to change. But the most important thing is the first step. And that is something that should be celebrated too. So, if that's just taking 1 minute and doing a body scan after this podcast and just listening to what your body is saying, or if that's choosing to eat a salad today, or to speak to a health coach or a professional.
Or listening to you.
Yes. Any of those things, just doing something to support your quality of life.
Yeah, excellent. One step, 1,000-mile journey start with a single step.
Yes.
Well, Jenni, thank you so much for coming on and, bringing all this knowledge and insight. So where people can find you and how they can connect with you, and also the upcoming retreat, where they can find all this information.
Oh, yes. Thank you. So I'm most active on Facebook, Jenni Morris, Jenni with an I. And I also have a website, which is cultivatezenergy.com. So all of my offerings are on there as well.
How about your Instagram handle?
I really don't use Instagram.
Okay.
Facebook is my jam.
Okay.
Showing my age, yeah.
Okay. Well, again, thank you so much for coming, and we'll put all this information on the screen so you can easily access. So if this episode gives you a breath of permission to slow down, please comment and tag this to someone who really needs it today. Thank you for tuning in. Until then, we'll see you next week. Till then, keep seeking.